Today is being called a day of prayer in Baltimore after a week of anger and tension following the death of Freddie Gray. The 6 Baltimore police officers charged in Gray's death are now out on bond. The state's attorney, Marilyn Mosby, says Gray's death was a homicide. His arrest was illegal and his treatment amounted to murder and manslaughter. All of the officers involved in Gray's arrest face felony charges, including assault and misconduct in office. An attorney speaking on behalf of the officers says the charges are a rush to judgment. Are these charges appropriate or are they too far-fetched? The Baltimore officer investigation is our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on Facebook and on Twitter. Be sure to use the hashtag Fox26forlife. Joining us live in our newsroom is our senior legal analyst Chris Tritico, our news analyst Mustafa Tamiz, and former Harris County GOP Chair Jared Woodfill. Good to see you guys again. Do you think that these charges are too far-fetched and that these officers have been overcharged?
I don't know that they're far-fetched or overcharged, but I do think that the state's attorney rushed in too quickly to file these charges, and I think there was a lot of pressure on the state and on the state's attorney to act to try to quell the rioting and the disruption that's going on there. But rushing to judgment in a lot of times, and especially if you're overcharging and you don't have the evidence, that ends up in 6 not guilties, and that's not going to help Baltimore or the state of Maryland overcome the rioting that they have right here. So I think that what she should have done was take her time, finish the investigation, then charge appropriately. If it turns out to be that the charges she has now are the appropriate ones, then fine. Let a jury later decide that. But I think that the pressure got to her. Her press conference, I think, was violated the ethical rules that lawyers have to live by when you're dealing with the media and these things. And there's a lot of things that indicate to me, Mustafa Tamiz, that she was acting under pressure and not acting as the highest law enforcement officer in the state of Maryland.
I'm not sure if it's pressure or she's just trying to manage what's going on in the streets. Like this incident's at the heel of an incident prior to this where 8 gunshots were fired by a police officer from an assailant that was running away from the police officer. So there's a lot of national context to this, and when the streets are burning down in Baltimore, somebody has to take some type of an action. People will contend whether this was too strong or not, but I think she was really dealing more than political pressure. She was just trying to see what's going on in the pulse of the community.
Jared, when you're a litigator, when you overplead something, or in this case overcharge if that's the case, you can lose your entire case because you overreached.
That's right. Don't make promises you can't keep. We all know that as litigators. When you go in and you charge or assert something, or you're making an argument in court, if you can't prove it, you lose all your credibility and ultimately lose your case. And this is a situation where the people of Baltimore need to back down with respect to what's happening on the street. This is an economy that is hugely depressed right now. And to riot and to loot and to destroy businesses of good, hard-working people is doing nothing to make this situation better. We need to focus on the allegations and the individuals involved instead of going after innocent businesses and, for all practical purposes, shutting down a city that's struggling right now.
Let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Okay, guys, yeah, we're following our social media here right now as I get our technology up and working. One person is writing us this morning saying that the problem in Ferguson was no trial, no justice, and Baltimore understood no justice, no peace. He believes they have a honeymoon until trial. And then this person says, don't get complacent, Baltimore. We need that conviction. Chris, asking your legal opinion, the prosecutor here is alleging gross medical neglect. If you read the reports, and there is a lot of evidence that we still obviously need to hear, but she says over and over again, Freddie Gray asked for medical treatment, and at least 6 officers didn't listen and didn't get him any help. Can gross medical neglect rise to murder or manslaughter?
I think it can. We don't have that charge in Texas, but what she's saying is by failing to give him the medical treatment that he needed, that rose to intentional conduct. And I think you could make that argument if that's the case. But asking for an inhaler is not the same thing as somebody getting their spine broken. And so that may be the overcharge here that people are talking about, Mustafa. I mean, he's saying I need my inhaler. He ends up with a broken spine. Well, that's not gross medical neglect if that's the facts.
Well, there's also a video of him being dragged out with his handcuffs behind him, behind his back.
And he can't walk.
And he can't walk.
Right.
So he's basically at the mercy of these officers. They have him in complete control. And then he goes into the van, kind of somewhat dragged in, and he comes out, with a broken neck. I mean, so there's something has happened, and there's we don't know exactly what that is, and she may have more information than is being let out at the moment.
Well, and let's let this be tried out. That's the whole purpose of the process. And when the writer says no justice, no peace, what does that mean? That means that we're not, until the trial occurs, we're going to destroy this city, and we're going to hurt innocent businesses and people. Innocent people will be hurt too, including officers who do a great job every single day defending our country.
The way I took that tweet, and we've got to go, but the way I took that tweet was no justice means if there's no conviction, there's no peace, and that's wrong.
Absolutely wrong.
Look, that's wrong. My father retired from the New York City Police Department, worked there for 18 years with a civilian. I understand what that means to police officers. At the same time, what's happening in this country, you cannot say it's coincidences when you see an event happening literally every month for the last several months.
Right,
but there's a process for that, Chris, and a process that you run through, and these are isolated events. Let's not forget about the millions of officers who do a great job every single day.
That's right.